urgent request for a recall of the House by the NPP caucus. We'll give you the details.
Also, the ZAR Electoral Commission Inspector General of Police meet 11 days to the general elections as they both make assurances of a free, fair and peaceful election. We'll tell you more about that crucial meeting.
A lot later, though, election stakeholders appealed to President Akufo-Addo to publicly assure Ghanaians of access to the internet and other online platforms on election day.
Hello there, it's good to see you here on NewsCentral. I'm Kemini Amano.
And I am Mawina Igbeka. The bulletin starts right now.
Days to the December polls. We are your election command center. Now, the Electoral Commission and the Inspector General of Police have met publicly for the first time. This crucial meeting, which comes 11 days to the general elections, afforded both parties to keep the public abreast with activities to ensure a free, fair and secure election. The IGP, George Ekufu-Dampare, assures the police service is ready to protect staff of the Electoral Commission and the public to enable the EC especially to deliver on their duties. Meanwhile, chairperson of the Electoral Commission has also been sharing details of the special voting exercise which takes place on December 2nd. We can now speak to Crosby Annan, who has been covering the special meeting today. He joins us via Zoom for a bit more on this. Crosby, good afternoon to you. Tell us a bit more about the first off, the December 2nd special voting.
Right, Kemini. First of all, this was one of the high-profile meetings of the Election Security Task Force, making up of all the security agencies as well as the Electoral Commission, the leaders of the heads of these institutions. It adds to the number of meetings that they have held prior to the December 7 general elections. And speaking with the executives or with election committee, they're telling us that they are very prepared for the elections, just like you rightly mentioned. But first of all is the special voting. According to the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, they are adequately prepared. All the polling stations are made available or polling centers made available for the special voting. Election materials are ready for the special voting. They do not anticipate any hitches on the day of the special voting. And the special voting, as you know, will set the tone directly for the main elections on December 7, emphasizing the people who are going to vote as part of the special voting, security service personnel, members of the media as well as some officials of the Electoral Commission themselves who may be busy or unavailable on the day of the election. So this was made for them. The Commission says that they are, just like the police service as well as the entire Election Security Task Force, adequately prepared. We'll take a listen to what Madame Mensa, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, has been saying in relation to the special vote and the preparation of the Commission ahead of the December 7 elections.
Absolutely. And Crosby, when we also come back, we know that she's been given some numbers. You take us through those numbers. In the meantime, we can listen to Jean Mensah.
To both agencies. And we believe that this has been exhibited on the websites to enable those who registered visit the websites to clarify their voting centers and so on and so forth. So we are confident that we'll have a successful special voting arrangements on Monday, the 2nd of December. Our officials are in readiness. We have an adequate supply of the ballot papers, the indelible ink, the various forms that may be necessary. And of course, the biometric verification devices are also in place to ensure a smooth and seamless special voting exercise. come Monday, the 2nd of December, 2024. So in a nutshell, this is how prepared we are. We, as a commission, we stand in readiness. As I mentioned, we are ready to conduct peaceful, credible, and transparent and fair elections come the 2nd and the 7th of December, 2024. So I'd like to end here and pause here and provide an opportunity to the head of our Election Security Task Force in the person of the Inspector General of Police to also brief us on their readiness. But we would like to thank all of you, as I mentioned, the police service, the army, and all the other agencies for your support at our various centers, the fire service, the immigration, the customs, the prisons. We know that you all stand in readiness, and together we will work to make the elections a peaceful and successful enterprise. So thank you very much.
You're very comprehensive.
Sorry. Is this working now?
Okay, have to shoot.
That's that crucial meeting with the Electoral Commission and the IGP. Crosby, who sat through this meeting, is still with us. Crosby, we heard from the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. We know next we'll be hearing from the IGP. But give us a brief of what he said.
Right, Kimberly. So, as part of the elections, the main elections on December 7th, the EC chairperson, Madame Jimensa, is telling us that they have recruited some 210,000 officials, and they are currently undergoing extensive training for the December 7th general elections. We've already spoken about the 320 special voting centers, amongst others. So people are being trained, and the Commission says that as part of this election, they are making available, if you like, based on feedback, they're making what she's calling aid memoirs, and which are basic instructions for the election process, and they will include directions to the staff of the Commission and the general public on what goes into the correction of errors, multiple counting, amongst others. In essence, just providing answers to areas that were hitherto gray areas. He's also been talking about the near completion of the printing of ballot papers, or the distribution of ballot papers, if you like. As we speak, we understand that ballot papers for the northern region, for the Bono and Bono East region, they are en route for distribution. Biometric verification devices are being prepared, and they will also settle very soon to the various police armories and subsequently transfer to the various voting centers on election day. So, so far, so good. Green light from those of police, as well as the entire Election Security Task Force and the Electoral Commission. So, we can take a listen to what the IGP, Dr. Dan Parry, has been saying.
Well, terrible. But the IGP there has also been touching on the need to protect EC staff ahead of the polls and during, the poll itself on December 7th. He assured that there will be protection for them in order for them to be able to deliver on their mandate or the duties of the day and beyond. He also said that the public will be kept safe, and we'll bring you more of that in subsequent broadcasts. In the meantime, let's turn attention to other issues.
Drama and just more drama. The unfolding spectacle of near parliamentary chaos will just not go away despite the Supreme Court's ruling on the vacant seat saga. The NDC caucus in Parliament are holding steadfast to their position as the majority in the 8th Parliament in a latest memo to the Speaker. The memo, signed off by their leader, Dr. Kesala Toforson, is praying the Speaker to reject the NPP leader's request for a recall of the House to discuss or treat urgent government business. Now, according to the NDC MPs, no urgent government business exists, as their colleagues on the other side have on other such occasions failed to properly execute business scheduled for the respective emergency sittings in the past. In fact, 3. Let's get a bit more details on the NDC MP's argument, and in this latest memo signed off by the leader of their caucus, Dr. Kesala Toforson, and they are maintaining their resolve to be calling themselves the majority despite the Supreme Court ruling. Hopefully, we can get to speak to a member from the leadership of the NDC caucus in Parliament. But let's walk you through a bit more in terms of the details that's been coming through from that memo. And amongst many other things, they say that the petition by Alexander Afenyo-Markin to recall Parliament has not satisfied the threshold and requirement under Article 1123 of the Constitution and Order 53.1 of the Standing Orders requiring 15% signatures of MPs. They proceed to say that the petitioner, that is Alexander Afenyo-Markin, has not demonstrated there's any urgent government business to warrant a recall of Parliament barely 11 days to the crucial 2024 general election. Now, this is where they begin to lend a bit more credence to previous of such emergency sitting, where they make the argument that in previous emergency recalls, many of the businesses listed in this instant petition, this petition which Alexander Afenyo-Markin has sent or submitted to the Speaker, were stated as so-called urgent government business. But in the end, they were abandoned. And so it is their considered position that there is no urgent government business currently before the House to warrant any urgent recall. Finally, on the argument that they make that this recall that is being requested is ill-timed and will constitute a needless drain on the Ghanaian taxpayer. They are therefore respectfully urging the Speaker to reject this call in the national interest. And so that's the NDC. But let's take you back a bit. 4 days plus ago, when that petition by the majority leader, as he likes to call himself, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, was sent to the Speaker as well. They listed a number of issues, and we're going to run them by you right now on your screen as well, in terms of what they are seeking to consider as urgent government business, for which reason he's proposing the 28th and then the 29th of November for the House to sit. Amongst many other things, requests for tax exemptions for designated beneficiaries under the One District, One Factory program. Also, the Ghana Financial Stability Fund, an International Development Association facility of 250 million United States dollars. That is up for consideration. Also, the consideration of the President's nomination for appointments as justices of the Supreme Court. We know there are 2 names outstanding, awaiting parliamentary approval after the work of the Appointments Committee. Then there's a ratification of the mining lease agreement between Ghana and then the Ashanti Bauxite Company Limited for the mining of bauxite in the Nyinihini Block 2 area in the Echimam-Ponia district of the Ashanti region. There is that for, as well, Barari DV Limited, the mining of lithium at Soyam in the central region. Then bills including the Environmental Protection Agency Bill 2024, the Social Protection Bill 2023, amongst other things. These are the businesses as have been tabled by the NPP caucus, expecting that the House will be recalled for a discussion. But let's try and get a bit more for you in terms of a response, because of all of these listed items, the NDC says that, look, the Speaker should reject the call because the basis upon which they came does not satisfy the constitutional requirement, and so the Speaker should reject it. We're trying this afternoon to get a bit more for you in terms of responses in relation to what has been coming through from the NDC's caucus. But the latest, as we have, is that their leader, Dr. Kese Lato-Forson, is holding steadfast to the position of the majority in the 8th Parliament. What we can bring to you right now is a bit more in terms of the arguments they are making, where they, amongst many other things, make the point that, for starters, Alexander Afenyo-Markin's petition to the Speaker does not satisfy constitutional requirement. They make the argument that it will constitute a nuisance, amongst many other things, in relation to the requirement and expectations on MPs who have to journey from far and wide to be present for this emergency sitting as well. And then they make the argument that the petition or the petitioner, who is Alexander Afenyo-Markin, has not demonstrated there's any urgent government business to warrant a recall of Parliament, barely 11 days to the crucial 2024 general election. Let's speak to South Dai Member of Parliament, Roxy Nelson Dafiamekpo, and we get the indication he will join us shortly, and then we can subject briefly a bit more of the arguments they are making to some scrutiny, because if we're to look through a number of these items which the NPP is tabling before the House, consideration of 2 Supreme Court justices, well, we got the indication that the South Dai MP, Roxy Nelson Dafiamekpo, has joined us right now. Honourable, I appreciate that you could speak to us this afternoon. Your side is, for starters, holding on to the position of the majority in Parliament, despite the Supreme Court's ruling on the declaration of the vacant seat. Some will argue quite simply that you're seeking to flout a directive or an order, if so can be said, of the Supreme Court in interpreting Articles 97 G and H. Hello, Mr. Dafiamekpo, can you hear us?
Yes. I can hear you now, but I didn't hear the question.
I'm asking that your side is continuing to hold yourself out as the majority in Parliament, problematic to many who saw the reasoning of the Supreme Court in the interpretation of Articles 97 1 G and H. Well, it does appear Roxy Nelson Dafiamekpo is having a challenge in being able to hear us. Will we work the phone lines and possibly connect with him again? But we can bring you some other interesting stories in relation to recent developments from Shraj Kamini.
Absolutely, Mawana. Now, the Notongu lawmaker Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa has welcomed Shraj's recommendation of investigating the Board of Trustees in the National Cathedral and even prosecutes them if any of them are found culpable. However, the former Deputy Education Minister was not content with the exoneration of the Executive Secretary, Reverend Victor Kusi-Boateng, over an alleged double identity case, which he claimed the pastor had used in an alleged procurement breach. Now, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa held a news conference this morning. Well, we can take a listen to some sound bites from that news conference where Samuel Okudzeto has been expressing his content and discontent with the Shraj's report that came out on yesterday.
GRA database or 2 different identities, Victor Kusi-Boateng, different set of companies, or different mothers, or different things. And Yamina Maker, my RTI requests, official letters. Manya official responses. Me the copies ni nyina bema. Oma confirm in some way nyina. Oko Electoral Commission for database 2016. Omoma Victor Kusi-Boateng a voter ID card. Or say na oye Victor Kusi-Boateng we did 40 years. 4 years later, 2020, omoma another voters ID card. This time no or say we did 50 years. Within 4 years, or no, only by 10 years. Evidence ni nyina. Ocean 2016 voter ID card ewaha. Voter ID number no 486-301-6954. Victor Kusi-Boateng. For the December 2016 elections. Ocean the 2020 voter ID card. Voter ID no 890-701-8142. For the 2020 elections. May the evidence very clear.
Well, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa there, he's not Tongo MP. He's been reacting to Shraj's report where it recommended, a number of things for the Board of Trustees. He also looked for investigation into the activities of the Board of Trustees of the National Cathedral. On the matter of double passport identity for Reverend Kusi Boateng, well, we understand that from the Shraj report, that was not seen, and the Member of Parliament is unhappy about that. I want to tell you a bit more about this story because Shraj, again in that report, has recommended corporate governance training for the trustees of the National Cathedral Board following suspicious or suspicions of corruption and its related activities in the awarding of contract to Ribad Company Limited. Now, an explosive report by Shraj has in part or as part of a listed recommendation demanded an audit into the work of the ongoing cathedral construction and possible investigations and prosecution of board members who supervise the award of the contract. Shraj also wants the board of the PPA to intervene and cancel the contract for the construction of the cathedral. Now, who are these board members? That corporate governance corporate governance training has been recommended for. I want to show you a bit more. We know that we have the Most Reverend Bishop J. Ofeya Krofi, Anglican Archbishop Emeritus, who is a member of the board. A very familiar face, Right Reverend Professor Emmanuel Mate, who is former moderator of the Presbyterian Church, also a member of the board. Most Reverend T.K. Awachiprat, presiding bishop of the Methodist Church. We also have Archbishop Duncan Williams, presiding Archbishop and General Overseer of Action Chapel International. Remember, he resigned from the board together with Bishop Doug Hayward Mills. Another familiar face there, Reverend Dr. Joyce Aye, who is Executive Director of Salt and Light Ministry, a member of this board. Reverend Eastwood Anaba, one of those that resigned. He's founder and president of Eastwood Anaba Ministries. And the very controversial Reverend Victor Kusi Boateng, founder of Power Chapel Worldwide. He's member and secretary to the board. Reverend Dr. Frimpong Manso, he's general superintendent of the Assemblies of God Church. We haven't seen the board chair yet, but the board chair is Apostle Professor Opoku Onyina. Well, we can now get into a conversation on the back of this. Let's speak to Dr. Asa S. Mohammed. He's senior lecturer at the C.K. Tedam University of Technology and Applied Sciences, development expert as well as a consultant. Doc, good afternoon to you. I appreciate you talking to us. But here we are, Board of Trustees are being recommended for corporate governance training. Why should people take jobs they know they cannot do in the first place?
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to all your listeners. And then I'm currently in Bolgatanga having enjoying my small Hamatan. And then, yes, but I think this is an issue that has been lingered for a long time. And as a country, we are getting into ridicule. You see, I, on this note, want to congratulate Honorable Ablakwa for still making sure that this issues stay relevant in our discussions as development experts and also as corporate governance students and lecturers. One, the first point is if an institution wants advisory service, the purpose of the board is to provide advisory service. Now, all the members of the board, you can see that they come from the clergy. Yes, you can say that the cathedral is to provide that service in terms of the clergy. But you can see that it's the company that we say it is going to go out and raise funds, is going to go out, not necessarily from the church. So from the first point, we shouldn't have allowed the board to be packed with all kinds of people that you have mentioned. We should have known that these people, in one way or the other, as members or men of God, may have some weakness in terms of the fact that they may be a bit lenient. If a contractor, for instance, is not doing the right thing and we need to take very drastic action, they may come in with the man of God attitude and they may say that, oh, let's temper justice with messy and that. But in actual corporate governance, you do not allow that because the board is the final decision-making point. So as the board acts, that is final. In this particular case, you see that some of the board members took advantage of the weakness of the board and started exploiting their, taking opportunities for themselves, like Reverend Okosibuaten that we have, gratefully been talking about. And I don't know why he, as a person, by now should have probably hidden his face, but always coming to the front to talk about or justifying his inclusion is one of the things that I cannot still understand, and I cannot understand what is actually guiding his conscience. So in my conscience, in my faith, I would say that we need to just dissolve that board, and then before even moving forward to dissolving the whole cathedral agenda, we need to dissolve the board, get the right people to come in and streamline, because we have spent money.
Absolutely. Which doc raises concern about Shraj's position that we should recommend or it recommends corporate governance training for these same set of people. Shraj got it wrong on that, didn't they?
No, I think Shraj, the combination for getting experts is they have just hit a nail on the right side, because as we speak now, the board members cannot be responsible for getting the fruits of this matter, because as we speak, a lot of money has been spent. And we, as a country, as citizens, want to know how that money was spent. And if there's a need for us to receive our money as citizens, we can do. But the board, as it stands now, do not have that capacity. So to me, adding on to the recommendation of Shraj, I would say that immediate dissolution of the board and reconstitution of a board.
Absolutely.
To see to the affairs of the investigation. Because as we speak now, we cannot investigate with these board members. In any case,
and Shraj fell short of saying that. Shraj fell short of recommending a dissolution of the board that they thought, were not qualified enough to be on the board and have cost us whatever it is that has gone down the drain already. Shraj fell short of that. Shraj should have pushed a little more, right?
Let me get that clear, please.
Well, I'm just saying that your addition to the Shraj report, they fell short of making such a recommendation that this board be dissolved.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. As immediately as possible, this board should be dissolved. In any case, because you can see some of the board members are been cited for conflict of interest. And for that matter, we should put them aside, get a new board, come on board to look at the legal aspects of the whole thing, and look at also moving forward if we are to continue on this cathedral issue. Because we have spent so much money, and my concern has been, what do we do with that pit after Akufo-Addo is out of government? We have spent almost $30-something million. And that is so colossal a sum of money as a country we cannot lose. What do we do with that project? In that case, we need a new board that will come and then rethink, let's refocus, redesign our way forward. And this board, I don't think will be the best.
Are we then suggesting that this project should go on?
No, but it's a pit. So can we leave it as a death trap? So we may not continue it as a cathedral, but we can continue it as something because it must be used. We can't spend our $30-something million and just throw it in a gutter. So whatever that we are going to reconsider to use that space for, this board cannot do that. And I would recommend that a new board comes on board, and then we will rethink and see how best we can use. If there's a need for us to follow the procedure to retrieve some of our money, we can retrieve. But we can't leave the pit. We have already gone, destroyed all the properties around. We have already dug the pit. We can't leave it like that. We must go on, but I may not necessarily recommend as a cathedral, but something monumental for the country.
We'll find a better time to talk again. Thank you so much for speaking to us this hour. Dr. Sumaila Asa Mohammed is Senior Lecturer at CK Tadam University of Technology and Applied Sciences. You're watching News Central on Kemini Amana. We'll be right back with more news. Don't go away.
Brothers and sisters, At a time when we are suffering due to the bad policies of the Baumia-led economic management team, leading figures of the NPP, like Chairman Wontumi, are destroying our water bodies in search of gold. So they agreed. To add insult to injury, they openly brandished their ill-gotten wealth, which they acquired from poisoning our water bodies.
Welcome back to News Central. A reminder, we are your election command center. Now, the NPP flag bearer, Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, is continuing with his tour of the Greater Accra region. He's currently touring the Ayawaso Central constituency in the Greater Accra region. Let's touch base with you right now. Daniel Opoku is a man who's been following him all throughout his journey across the country. Daniel, talk to us about the resumption of the Greater Accra regional tour and where the Vice President is, what he's been saying.
Right, so good afternoon to you, Martin. Currently, the Vice President is coming from the Nsamu constituency, where he went to specifically the Hebron Prayer Center. You know, it's somewhere in the constituency for Honorable Anadon Prayer, and Hebron Prayer Center is within his constituency. So the Vice President went to this place this morning. And a couple while ago, he was at Ayawaso Central, where he engaged with market women and other traders within the constituency, basically selling his ideas to them for them to vote for him come December 7. Today, the southern three constituencies is going to two places. He's now moving to the third constituency, Ayawaso Central constituency, before the close of the day today. In the course of his tour, he will be touching base with commercial drivers and also touching base with people within the Sokai area who are basically traders. They also engage in import and export businesses. So that's what the Club will be doing today before the close of the day today.
Right then, Daniel, many thanks for those details. That's Daniel Opoku. He is traveling now in the Greater Accra region where the Vice President, or both, you saw Henry Korte as well, the Interior Minister, in the Ayawaso Central constituency. A bit more in terms of the campaigns across the country, Kamini?
Absolutely. Now, to solve the perennial flooding on the Atefua Bridge in Kumasi and its associated consequences to users, government has reconstructed this bridge. Commissioning the bridge, President Akufo-Addo said the intervention represents safety, accessibility, and opportunity.
Between 2022 and 2023, 10 persons have lost their lives whilst attempting to cross the flooded Atefua Bridge. The bridge links Kumasi to Barikesi and the northern part of the country. Several appeals by users for government to fix the deadly bridge has finally been responded to. Living around this area has been a struggle because of accessibility, especially when it rains. The completion of this project has come as a relief to us. President Akufo-Addo has opened up the completed 40-meter reinforced concrete bridge for use. Roads and Highways Minister Francis Asensu-Boakye indicates that the bridge and the accompanying road rehabilitation works are tangible examples of government commitment to delivering infrastructure that directly addresses the need of the people.
We are unveiling a bridge that will serve as a lifeline, an enabler of economic growth, a solution to a long-standing challenge, and a symbol of the government's commitment to connecting people, places, and opportunities.
The president asked Ghanaians to decide prudently in the upcoming presidential and parliamentary elections.
One of the most consequential decisions that Ghanaians are going to make in this generation is a decision that is going to be made on the 7th of December, especially when you consider the two leading candidates and what they have to offer Ghana.
Now, let's stay on that tour of the Ashanti region the president is embarking on. Ibrahim Abubakar is our correspondent on this beat. Ibrahim, it's day 3 of the president's, in the NPP stronghold tour in the Ashanti region. What has he been up to? And tell us how his itinerary for the day looks like.
Well, Kemini, basically today has been more of an engagement compared to yesterday where he was commissioning projects. Now, currently, as we speak, he is in a meeting with the Ashanti Regional House of Chiefs. Earlier, he paid a courtesy call on the overlord of Ashanti, the Ashanti in Osage 2, Otumfuo II, where he thanked him and telling him that for supporting him throughout his 8 years. He just came there to thank him. And from here, he will also be meeting with the clergy at Rattray Park. Then he will conclude his tour in the Ashanti region with a meeting with the founding fathers of MPP and also party executives. So basically, that is his itinerary for the day.
Very well. Ibrahim, how are the constituents, essentially residents of the Ashanti region, responding to the president's visit?
Well, massive reception everywhere you go. Obviously, like you rightly said, this is the stronghold of the New Patriotic Party. So it's obvious that anytime the president comes here, you see a lot of people following him. He is just urging them, speaking to them, because there are people who have decided not to vote at all because either they do not want to vote for the NDC or they are even angry with the performance of the MPP. But he is just telling them and pleading with them to go out in their numbers and make sure that they retain the New Patriotic Party so that the developmental project that they have initiated or started would be completed. You know, Ashanti region, there have been complaints that even though they have been loyal to the MPP, there hasn't been much monumental projects that has been done by the party. Even though we've seen the completion of the Kumasi Airport, they are still waiting for other projects to also be completed.
Ibrahim, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for talking to us. Ibrahim Abubakar is covering the president's tour of the Ashanti region.
From the president, let's go to the camp of the NDC, where the flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Mahama, has accused the incumbent government of using cocoa money to purchase luxurious vehicles. According to John Mahama, cocoa production has dropped to 400,000 metric tons, while the government has taken advance payment from foreign entities, leading to a debt of some 350,000 metric tons on the country.
And now I know say your cocoa production above from barely 400,000 tons. Now make us say impo abanya Jessica in advance. I day abrofonica 350,000 tons and umunti fanko. And abayan for fra ebebano. One Jessica bian so what the 350,000 tons of cocoa because abayan at Jessica no in advance. Until next year, cocoa I better no. The suma akutuaka because Oma ton in advance I just Kennedy. Na nanui or share media moi the cocoa board budgets editorial 3.4 billion cedis on headquarters administration. And they just say sikani na omo de hwe omo and a cast a fofro and it's an annual mano and no chat if you have only their age. Na watching ama Ponkono Johnny, a fair na water Ponko baby or done your friends and Ponko Bua and I said, send your friend Bia. A fair na water Ponkono Nedabre. And see, a fair no more pager price no. And so Coco Nibebre, I say, if we say, Emra na yem ma ekwafono na ewoso omuma omo no bebreja omo enti solely shoot no ene sa diseases to be bam enti afi na umutwitwa cocoa ndua no edua no foforo.
That's the NDC's flag bearer, John Mahama, speaking to what he says is the neglect of cocoa farmers, likening the budget's estimates of Cocoa Board at its headquarters, 3.5 billion cedis on the headquarters alone as against producer price for cocoa farmers, and making the argument that when the horses have bolted out of the stable, they are now seeking to have the stables shut. And so we'll go for yet another break. When we return, a bit more for you here on your Election Command Center as we take a trip to the Volta region on Constituency Watch.
and said,
I've seen more demonstrations and strikes in my first 2 years.
we're back. And it's time for us to leave the
Indeed.
studios at this particular point in time here on News Central. Quickly, though, you can follow us on 3news.gh on Instagram. That's where you find all things news related in the lead up, 11 days to the December 7th general elections as we continue to tick down the time. Do well to follow this particular handle and get the news exclusively as it comes through. Mawina Igbeta signing out.
I'm Kemeni Amano. Next is the afternoon show. We'll see you same time tomorrow here on News Central. Bye-bye.
If I had to leave my life without